All right. About 30 minutes ago, Shams tweeted blockbuster trade. The Lakers trading AD, Max Christie, and a 2029 first rounder for Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleba, and Markieff Morris. The Jazz are a third team in the deal, getting Shafino and two second round picks. Yeah, first reactions. I think it's
I
this
mean,
is
what an absolutely insane deal, man. Like, I think the biggest thing, really, for all intents and purposes, how I'm going to characterize this deal is this really is a deal for the Lakers' first round pick for the Dallas Mavericks. They're going to get Anthony Davis, and they're going to trade Luka Doncic, and as well as Max Christie from the Lakers is going to be kind of traded around in this deal. I think the way to look at this deal is just that the Mavericks basically are trading away their whole entire franchise and saying, "Hey, we don't think Luka can win us a championship." Even though last year he made it to the Western Conference final, I mean, he made it to the NBA Finals actually, and was able to put up a good fight against Boston. But clearly, they saw I guess something in their offense that was good enough, but their defense was never going to be at the level that they
yeah,
needed it to be in. And it's interesting even more so. I think you brought up this point, Jeff, earlier, like when we were just talking about it. What does the Dallas Mavericks do with their center position? They now have three centers. It was weird a little bit earlier in the season. They were rumored at trading Daniel Gafford and they were really actively shopping him. Maybe this kind of showcases a little bit more. But I mean, overall, this is just insane. Like, this is probably the biggest deal I've ever seen. Like, when the Golden
yeah.
State Warriors made that deal, it was an offseason deal where they signed Durant. That was huge.
Right. That's just a
Big one.
signing, though.
Yeah, and then the next big one is probably the Suns deal where they got Kevin Durant as well in that trade. I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god." Everyone knew that was gonna happen, kind of. Like, I feel like everyone was like,
Yeah, I mean, I think this is probably the biggest, at least in-season trade in NBA history. I think if you like go back through in-season trades that have even like tilted championship odds or anything, you'd be very hard pressed to find anything. And I mean, yeah, this has to be the biggest deal in NBA history. I mean, the Mavs are trading like franchise cornerstone, e- like heliocentric, like
this is like
just
the Warriors trading Steph Curry. Like, for all intents and
yeah. I
purposes,
mean,
it
they're
is
just
literally
trading
like,
like the generational piece of their offense that makes everything run. Like some tweets have come out from Mavs GM Nico Harrison, or not tweets, in tweets about interviews he's given in the last like 45 minutes. And apparently what he said is, first of all, I believe Tim McMahon mentioned conditioning and the Mavs being concerned about that, which is, I mean, I guess, because I think everyone feels like the Mavs are crazy. Maybe there is something about Luca's conditioning that
I
people
think I
aren't
think
aware of.
I think it's
But
important to also on the Dallas Mavericks here, like, Luka's injured right now. Like, he hasn't
yeah,
played in a while, and part of that is because of his conditioning. I believe he has a calf injury. Is that I think I'm correct on that.
yeah, I mean,
He's been
maybe they're
out
just
for a
making some
while.
calculations.
Yeah, and so I think
But
that people say it's part of conditioning maybe, so maybe he's not as
yeah,
comfortable. So,
and
I
yeah,
guess
and then Nico has also said that he believes that AD gives them like the championship type defense that they need to win.
yeah. I
I
mean,
think
I think you hit on a good point though, just with that point, and we can talk about it from the Mavs perspective, I think, first. Do you think this actually makes them a championship contender? Are they
the
better
Mavs.
today than they were yesterday? Yeah, literally, I mean, it's almost midnight here, so do you think they're
Yeah,
better
no, I
today
mean,
than they were yesterday?
I don't think so. I think
Yeah, howdy.
I think it's just like Luca. It's just I think everyone is so shocked right now because this isn't like a normal NBA trade where I think when players of Luca's magnitude move teams, it's usually in their own volition in the off
Yeah,
season,
absolutely,
like
yes.
asking for a trade or asking like or just
Never like that.
signing in free agency. Like these, Luca is in like this tier of player that does not get traded,
Mhm.
especially when they are honestly like in the middle, like in the early stages of their prime. Like that's just a
On a
very
contender, like, they
yeah.
could win it all this season. Like, they had
I
a
mean,
chance.
I think literally the easiest comparison you could draw is like if the Warriors, let's say coming off 2016 or something, or maybe like in 2014, 2015, just like traded Steph
Yeah,
and
exactly,
like,
yeah.
and we're
It
like, we want Rudy Gobert because he's an amazing all world defender. It's like, that doesn't really compute. And that's why I think this trade is like crazy because it's not even like Paul George or something like that, right? Like this is like, I mean, I don't know. It's just
I
very,
mean,
I don't really understand.
yeah, I mean, it's also like the contract, the timing, everything is just doesn't make much sense. And I mean, I like want to get into the breakdown, and maybe we'll do one later as well into like offense, defense, how I think this is going to work with the Mavericks. But
Yeah.
overall, it's just like, how do you make that decision? Like, honestly, I was thinking about this when we were talking. Is like it would make more sense for the Warriors to trade Steph Curry right now than it does for the Dallas Mavericks to trade Luka Doncic. There's still, what do you think? A good 10 years Luka Doncic has left at playing basketball, like NBA high caliber, all NBA second to first team basketball, right? Like,
Yeah. I mean, Luca's like 25, 26 years old. He just made the NBA finals. I mean, he obviously doesn't look like a Greek god, but I think just the offensive output,
did
even this
1 year
season.
he did. It would just be over.
Yeah.
Right?
Like even this season, like he's been looking incredible. It's just like, I think it's just it just doesn't really make a lot of
Yeah.
sense. I think that's why, as I'm looking at the Twitter channeling right now, and you're seeing, because like Nico Harrison is making, giving comments to the press. It's just like none of them really hit because, I mean, like not to be hyperbolic, but it's like trading like Michael Jordan. Like you just don't trade someone of that caliber. Like you don't trade someone who's like potentially going to be in this like pantheon of NBA players that like were the greatest of all time. Like that's obviously what Luka is, and that's not something you usually just give up.
No.
Okay, honestly, best analogy, it's like trading Dirk, right? Like the Mavs never would have traded Dirk.
Yeah. I don't think,
So
and I think this is important that we point this out. I don't think Cuban makes this move. I think the new
yeah, I
ownership
mean,
group with like the casino money and everything like that, I think they're interested a little bit in a different type of kind of team, I guess. And I think this is a move that they make. And I think this is their stamp on the organization. And I mean, I'm sure we'll hear Windhorse talk about this tomorrow on actually tomorrow's Sunday, so not on first take, but probably on Monday, we'll talk a lot about this. But I think we've harped enough on like what a crazy move this is for the Mavs. But honestly, like as a viewer of basketball, like what a move for the Lakers, man. Like this keeps them competitive for the next 10 years, I think. I think like even when LeBron leaves, this is a clear succession plan, don't you agree? Like Bronny James and Luka Doncic, that's their succession. Or like one of them actually this, but like one of them like is going to be there for the next 10 years, right? Like supermax deal, offensive player. And you can find, my opinion, you can find defensive players in this league over time. Dalton Connect, Austin Reeves, players like that you can find. What do you think about like Luca on the Lakers?
yeah. I mean, it's like this is such a wild trade
Yeah.
because there are a lot of moves in the past few years, even, or like let's just go back to the Warriors trading for KD. That's a move where the Warriors has to win the championship next year, or else people are like, "What are you doing?" This I don't honestly, it doesn't even matter. Like,
Oh,
it's like
exactly. Yeah, it's kind
you're
of weird.
trading for NBA relevant. You're trading to be a franchise that gets fans to go to your game and makes the playoffs. And like that is just a crazy thing to basically know is going to happen. Like you
Yeah.
can I'll make this bet right now. I'm pretty sure the Lakers will be in the playoffs every single year until Luca exits his prime,
Yeah.
assuming that
Or
he
unless
doesn't
he's
like get
injured. Yeah.
injured.
Yeah.
Right. Like this is, and it's just like, okay, like that's it. You're basically just giving your franchise a decade and a half, maybe, of
Yeah.
relevance.
Yeah. And
And that's just like a wild, like,
yeah.
any team would take that deal.
I mean, it's also, I think speaking to your point, what's weird about this trade is usually a trade. I mean, you can look at the other part of this trade. For example, the Jazz. The Jazz are getting picks and they're giving up a player and taking a salary. And the other team benefits by, getting off a salary so they can add more players and then someone giving up picks. Oftentimes one side of the coin is usually gaining future and the other side is
Yeah.
gaining the better players now. In this, I feel like one side is getting worse future and also getting the worst player, which is what I'm like very confused about. Like Anthony Davis is the worst player and he has the worst future. And the first round pick is not good enough to like offset the fact that you're sending a generational talent, like generational with a big G. Like honestly, if I saw like Luca and a first round pick for Wemby, I would be like, this is
Yeah.
and, like, there's no way, like, you'd trade Wemby. Like, that's just not something the Spurs would ever do. It still just blows my mind that now the Lakers have really I mean, LeBron was once upon a time a generational talent. I mean, he still arguably is, like, a top 15 player, but the Lakers now still have, like, an actual, like, top 5 and top 15 player I think the playoffs are now, I mean, their floor. I think they will make the playoffs for sure if Luka is able to play. I think the question is
Yeah,
what you do at the center position. We were talking about this earlier. Like Anthony Davis was a key cog in their defense. Nico Harrison
doesn't
doesn't.
matter.
Yeah, but their offense,
I
they're
mean,
just
honestly, that's
130
what's
a night.
so crazy. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's like AD gave you a world beater defender, but it doesn't matter because you got Luka. It's just
yeah. And
like funny.
okay, what if they're a little worse this year? They're gonna be way better next year and the year after and the year after and the year after and the year after. Because Luka's not gonna get that much worse. I mean, he kinda moves slow anyway. Like, it's not like he's gonna get any slower. It's not like it's kinda like Jokic, you know? Like, even if Jokic gets slower, it doesn't really matter. He's just kinda the same guy. He's like this European dude just chilling. I mean, this I mean,
Yeah,
not even to talk about, like, I mean, there's so much topics we could go in off the field. Like, this is so good for Luka's brand. Like, that Lakers with Luka, like, I'm sure there's gonna be a signature shoe that's coming out. Sure, everyone's gonna
yeah. I mean, I think
like,
I think you just can't really you can't really do like mathematics with this deal. Like, there's no way you can logically piece this out based on the information we have right now.
mhm,
It seems like Luca didn't request the trade. I mean,
that's what
I'm
we know.
assuming
And it seems
AD
like
also
AD
didn't
didn't,
request the
yeah,
trade.
yeah.
But I mean,
I mean,
yeah, I
AD
mean, if I'm
also told the NBA media that he and LeBron thought they could win a championship together with a couple more pieces. I mean, I think we were both coming into this trade deadline thinking if the Lakers made a move, it would be something like the first round pick, Dalton Connect, Max Christie, Austin Reeves
yeah,
for like a bigger player like Levine or Trey Young, like those types of players where like add in addition, they're good offensive pieces. But I don't
yeah,
think we expected AD to be in the deal. I thought he was the
yeah,
I thought AD was the future of the Lakers. Like, a lot of people have jerseys right now that are gonna be able to return for free because of the American Express jersey, like, change because
yeah.
Doncic just got traded, their jerseys are worthless now. Like, oh my
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't really it's like there's no math behind it, so I think everyone should probably wait, like, a few days because
the
there must
Monday
be
about
something. I don't because I mean, if there's not something, then, like, Nico Harrison is going to lose his job if they don't win the championship this year, right?
yeah,
Like, that's just
probably
crazy, like, it's just baffling because this is
insane,
like a
insane.
this is honestly and this is a trade that is in the grander scope of, like, seasons. Like, this
Yes,
is a franchise
a
trade. This is
generational
not like
trade. Yeah, it's like,
right.
you cannot make these trades very often, yeah.
Like, you're trading a player at the early start of their prime, and your justification is that, like, your defense is going to, like, be really good, which, okay, sure. But I don't even know, like, I don't think there's any argument you could make to me about AD, Kyrie that, first of all, like, heavily outweighs Luca, Kyrie. And there's also no argument you can make to me, like, obviously for the Lakers. Like,
Yeah,
Lakers, I honestly think it doesn't really matter.
yeah, and I think the most
Really good
comparable
trade for the Lakers.
the most comparable worst trade I would say for this, that's the most recent example, and we can kind of leave it here with the trade, is just like the SGA Paul George trade, right? Like that one was clearly bad for one side. Like now we have all of like the writing on the wall, but it makes sense because SGA, nobody knew if he was going to be as
Right.
good. We know Luca is better than Anthony Davis, and we know he will be better than Anthony Davis next year and the year after and the year after and the year after and the year after. And it was a one for one trade essentially. So it's just like we already know. I feel like this trade is just a losing proposition. I don't know. I mean, I feel like we both clearly think that the Lakers like stole from the Mavericks here. Like absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think if we can close, I think we can maybe try and be a bit prescient here. Um, I feel like there must be something else involved
Yeah,
in
that's
this.
I feel like some other team has to be involved. I don't know. I feel like there's something else to this trade.
Yeah, because I mean, like, there are obviously all these tweets on my timeline right now talking about, like, does this mean LeBron to the Warriors? Like, I don't know, but I think it would be really interesting to me if there was something else that maybe I think my first thought was, "Oh, the Mavs are gonna trade AD for something else," but it looks like Nico Harrison is, like, doubling down on, like, why they trade for AD.
Yeah, yeah. It looks really like
So,
oh.
maybe someone on like, if some, like, rotation guy on the Mavs gets moved, maybe LeBron gets moved, right? If you're the Lakers, do you really even need LeBron this season? Like, can
No,
you
and
not
LeBron
make a
and
li
Luka kind of occupy the same position on the court, to be honest. Like, but I
Yeah.
mean, they're not going to trade LeBron though, because but then again, they wouldn't have traded AD. I don't know. I don't know what's
Yeah,
going
so
on.
I
I
don't
don't. I'm
Honestly,
taking my hands out. Like, I thought AD was more important to the Lakers than LeBron, to be honest. I would have traded LeBron for Luka, in my opinion, over AD for Luka if they would have taken that deal. But I don't know.
yeah.
Crazy stuff was happening, to be honest. Like,
I guess I wonder if maybe
what is this?
LeBron is in the moves. I think it's like it's just like weird because it's like you thought all of these guys were untouchable. Maybe I mean maybe AD is like the first. Maybe he's
I
a bit
thought he was
touchable, but
untouchable. Like, he was playing the best ball of his career. Like, what are we doing here? Like,
yeah. I mean, I don't really
I
know
don't
how
know.
Luca could have be Luca is a touchable player. I wish. I think there are going to be a lot of GMs in the NBA who wake up this morning or tomorrow morning and are like, like, is that
Like
like?
KC, why wouldn't you just throw all your picks in? Like, everything. Just get Luca. Like, 12 picks. We'll take
I
it.
mean, yeah. I just think there's so many
Go
teams
for it.
like there's so many teams that if Luca was available would have given up their franchise, right?
Yeah, I think the Knicks would've. I think the Knicks would have traded Brunson and pick
Brunson,
to the
yeah,
Mavs for Luka.
that's a great deal.
Yeah,
Of
I mean,
course you
I
take
don't
that deal.
understand. Like, I think they would have even given maybe even, like, Cat in that deal. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Nobody's untradeable. I guess this shows that the new NBA is really going to be, like, more like trades, and because you can't sign people in the offseason the way you once could, everyone's really just tradable, and most of the action might happen around trades. I don't know. I don't know what this says. I mean, I'm gonna have to read a lot, honestly, about, like, how contracts work and stuff like that because I don't even know what Luka's on, right? I'm pretty sure he just got signed to the Supermax, but like, or he's eligible
Yeah.
for it. So, looking at, like, contract structure and stuff will be illuminating over the next couple days, but I mean, overall, I'm shocked. I'm shocked beyond belief, and this changes the whole trade deadline for me because I think we could see other huge moves. And this trade is going to expand. Like, before you guys, like, say this is locked, for sure another team's gonna get involved in this trade. Some of the Jazz picks will probably go around. Jalen Hood-Schifino was in this trade. He'll probably get moved somewhere else, to be honest, because he's kind of a sorry player. So, like, you could see a lot of things happen here, so
Yeah, looks like I was reading some tweets before we end this. Looks like Anthony Davis seems good with this trade. Apparently, he's waiving his trade kicker, which is like the amount of money in your contract that you can stipulate you get traded or get
yeah,
if you
usually like
get traded.
a free kicker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so he's waiving that, and it looks like he has a good relationship with Nico Harrison. So I don't know. I mean,
Or he was his agent at one time, right? Because
really,
Nico Harrison worked for Nike before he worked for the Mavs. So, I'm pretty sure they signed
I think if you're
he's like a good relationship with a lot of these players.
I mean, honestly, like, I think if you're AD and you woke up and you heard that trade, you'd be like, "Okay." Like, "Okay, I get" like, "Yeah, I would do that."
Well, I think he had to waive his trade kicker to probably make the deal happen, to be honest, because his salary is so big that the trade kicker would be massive. Like, it would be like an extra $10 million. So,
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I guess the last thing, do you think this puts either I mean, do you think this changes, like, title winner, contender,
oh, yeah.
things like that?
I don't think the Mavs are title contenders anymore. I think
Yeah,
that's
probably
over.
not.
I think, they're probably gonna fall in the West. I assume they will mortgage Kyrie Irving or, like, have some type of plan with him, and try to develop Lively as the center and maybe AD at the 4, is probably what they're gonna go for. AD's been demanding to play the 4 for a long time, so I think their positioning is going to be a lot more interesting. AD will now be an offensive fulcrum, which I think will be interesting for that team,
Yeah.
but they fall out. I think look for the Lakers, it all depends on Luka's health. I feel like if he's healthy, good to go after the All-Star break, which is probably when he'd play, I think they could go on a run and really actually make a lot of noise. I'm curious to see what they'll do at the center position. I mean, I think we'll have maybe a bigger talk about this later, just because I think this means that there's going to be at least 3 or 4 moves, that are gonna be made, and 2 of them at least are gonna involve the Lakers probably, so I'm waiting to see that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first instant reaction
Yeah, that's the pod.
to the NBA trade of honestly, NBA history. I'm gonna say right
Most
now,
epic trade
that
I've
is
ever been
that
in.
is the biggest, most earth-shattering trade I've ever seen. Um, I including before when I was alive. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.